Long before the sterile walls of hospitals, long before the invention of the stethoscope or the microscope, humanity was already healing itself. Picture this: ancient people gathered around a fire, grinding roots, boiling leaves, whispering prayers into the smoke of burning herbs. These were not primitive guesses. They were the fragments of a vast and profound knowledge, passed from one generation to the next, a treasure of survival and connection with the living earth. But here's the mystery: how did our ancestors know which plants could heal and which could kill? Without laboratories, without advanced chemistry, they somehow discovered remedies that still save lives today. Willow bark for pain, garlic as a natural antibiotic, aloe for burns. Was it trial and error? Or could there have been a deeper, perhaps even spiritual, form of communication with nature? Ancestral wisdom is not only about healing wounds or curing fevers. It is about a worldview, a way of living in balance with the cycles of earth, moon, and stars. For our ancestors, medicine was never separate from spirituality. Healing the body was inseparable from healing the soul. And yet, much of this wisdom has been forgotten, dismissed as folklore or superstition. Ancient scrolls were burned. Sacred knowledge was silenced during colonization. The wisdom keepers, shamans, herbalists, midwives, were often persecuted, their secrets pushed to the shadows. What did we lose when we abandoned this path? Could there be remedies, cures, even truths about existence itself, hidden in the ashes of forgotten traditions? Today, as modern medicine grows more advanced yet more mechanical, people are searching for something it cannot always provide: meaning, connection, and prevention. This is why so many are turning back to ancestral traditions. It's not a rejection of science, but a realization that science alone cannot explain the mystery of being human. This journey into ancestral wisdom is not about nostalgia. It is about rediscovery. Because hidden in the rituals, herbs, and chants of our ancestors may lie the keys to a more balanced future, one in which body, mind, and spirit are once again united. So let us ask, are we truly evolving, or are we walking in circles, returning to knowledge that was never really lost?
The legacy of ancient cultures, secrets written in stone. Every great civilization left behind monuments, temples, and artigo.
But hidden within these stones is also the story of medicine. From the banks of the Nile to the mountains of the Andes, healing was sacred. In ancient Egypt, physicians recorded their remedies on papyrus scrolls. The Ebers Papyrus, over 3,000 years old, lists more than 800 formulas: honey for infections, castor oil for digestion, pomegranate to fight parasites. Egyptians believed illness was not only physical but spiritual. Priests of Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess of healing, used rituals, prayers, and amulets alongside herbs. Imagine a patient not only receiving a salve for wounds, but also being bathed in chants meant to restore harmony with the gods. In China, the philosophy of yin and yang shaped medicine. Balance was everything. If the life force, qi, flowed freely, health thrived. Blocked energy led to disease. Acupuncture, herbal mixtures, and qigong exercises were designed to restore this flow. What's striking is how modern science is now catching up. Discovering meridians may align with nerve pathways, and acupuncture can stimulate the nervous system. Meanwhile, in India, Ayurveda emerged as a complete system, the science of life. Its texts, the Charaka Samhita and Sushruta Samhita, describe surgery, detox rituals, and herbal treatments still in use today. Ayurveda teaches that each person has a unique constitution, or dasha, and true healing means restoring balance to that individual essence. Isn't it fascinating that thousands of years ago, before genetics and personalized medicine, they already recognized the uniqueness of each body? And then there are the indigenous peoples of the Americas. For them, plants were not just tools but relatives, living beings with spirits. The Navajo burned sage to cleanse spaces, while the Maya prepared cacao as medicine for the heart. Shamans learned from visions, dreams, and communication with the forest itself. Skeptics dismiss this as myth, yet modern research shows plants release chemical signals, communicate underground through fungal networks, and even respond to human touch. Could it be that the shamans were perceiving truths we are only now beginning to understand? The biggest curiosity: why did cultures separated by oceans, with no contact between them, arrive at such similar conclusions? Egypt, India, China, and indigenous America all practiced holistic medicine, all saw disease as imbalance, all honored plants as sacred allies. Coincidence? Or is there a deeper, perhaps universal wisdom that humanity once shared, fragments of a global knowledge now scattered across time? Sacred plants and herbal remedies, nature's code of healing. Plants were humanity's first pharmacy, and each carried not only chemical power but also stories, myths, and mysteries. To our ancestors, they were gifts from the gods. Take turmeric, the golden root of India. For thousands of years, it was used to purify the blood and heal inflammation. Today, science confirms that curcumin, its active compound, is a potent anti-inflammatory. Or consider willow bark, chewed by ancient Greeks for pain relief. Centuries later, chemists isolated salicylic acid from it, giving birth to aspirin. What we call modern discovery was often just rediscovery. But some plants carried secrets far beyond the physical. Ayahuasca, used by Amazonian shamans, was prepared by combining two plants that, on their own, have no hallucinogenic effect. Together, however, they unlock visions and profound psychological healing. How did indigenous tribes know this precise combination out of tens of thousands of plants in the rainforest? Was it pure chance, or could dreams and intuition have guided them? Herbs like sage were burned in rituals not only for spiritual cleansing but also to ward off illness. Today we know that burning sage releases antimicrobial compounds that purify the air. Lavender, associated with calmness, lowers anxiety levels in clinical studies. Even the humble garlic, once hung around necks to repel evil, is now proven to fight bacteria and viruses. There are countless stories of soldiers carrying herbs into battle, monks cultivating secret gardens of healing plants, and midwives using teas to ease childbirth pains. Each plant was more than medicine, it was a teacher. In many traditions, healers would fast, meditate, or pray before harvesting a herb, believing its spirit had to agree to help. And here lies the curiosity. Could plants truly hold intelligence, not in the way humans think, but in their own language of chemistry, vibration, and connection? Modern research shows plants react to music, recognize kin, and share nutrients through root networks. The ancient belief that plants speak may not be superstition after all. If nature holds such codes of healing, how many have we overlooked? How many cures lie hidden in forests yet to be explored, in seeds we dismiss as weeds, in plants destroyed by deforestation? Perhaps the earth has always been whispering the answers, but are we still listening? Healing beyond the physical body, medicine of the soul. To our ancestors, illness was rarely just physical. A headache could be a sign of unresolved grief. A fever might reflect spiritual imbalance. Healing, therefore, had to address the whole person, body, mind, and soul. Shamans would enter altered states of consciousness through drumming, chanting, or sacred plants. In these states, they claimed to see the root of the illness, sometimes described as dark energy or a lost part of the soul. Their work was not to simply remove symptoms, but to restore harmony. Isn't it remarkable that modern psychology now uses concepts like trauma, dissociation, and even soul retrieval in therapeutic language? Music, too, was medicine. Ancient Greeks believed the lyre could cure melancholy. Native tribes used rhythmic drums to align the heartbeat with the earth. Today, we know that sound frequencies influence brainwaves, reducing stress and promoting healing. What our ancestors called sacred songs, we now call sound therapy. Rituals were central. A patient might be bathed in herbs, surrounded by incense, blessed with chants, and encouraged to release emotions. These were not empty gestures. They created a powerful psychological effect.
Placebo?
Perhaps. But what if the placebo itself is proof that belief in spirit can trigger real biological healing? Modern science is beginning to catch up. The mind-body connection is undeniable. Stress weakens the immune system.
Trauma leavis chemical scars in the brain. Meditation lavers blande pressure.
These discoveries confirm what ancient healers always knew. The soul and body cannot be separated. Here's a thought-provoking question. If emotions and energy can make us sick, could spiritual practices also cure diseases even modern medicine cannot? What if rituals dismissed as primitive actually hold therapeutic power we have barely begun to measure? The medicine of the soul invites us to imagine health not just as the absence of disease, but as a state of harmony with ourselves, with others, and with nature itself. Rediscovering ancestral wisdom in modern times, science meets tradition. Far from being relics of the past, ancestral practices are returning. Universities study them. Doctors recommend them. Patients seek them. What was once dismissed as superstition is now called integrative medicine. Consider how many modern drugs come from plants first used by shamans and healers. Quinine from the bark of the cinchona tree, morphine from the poppy, aspirin from willow, digitalis from foxglove. Nature was always the original laboratory. Yoga, once a spiritual practice in India, is now prescribed for stress and heart health. Acupuncture, once ridiculed, is recognized by the World Health Organization as effective for pain and recovery. Herbal supplements are sold worldwide, from ginseng to echinacea. Meditation, rooted in Buddhism, is mainstream therapy for depression. What's striking is not just the adoption of these practices, but the validation. Science confirms turmeric's anti-inflammatory power, lavender's calming effects, and even the immune-boosting properties of mushrooms used for centuries in Asia. Could it be that ancestral knowledge is not alternative, but simply ahead of its time? Yet curiosity remains. If we are rediscovering what our ancestors already knew, how much wisdom is still hidden? Are there forgotten cures waiting in ancient manuscripts, buried temples, or the oral traditions of tribes still living in harmony with the forest? Perhaps the most powerful lesson is not the remedies themselves, but the worldview they carry. Modern medicine fights disease. Ancestral wisdom teaches prevention, balance, and respect for the natural order. Together, they could create a new paradigm, one that heals not only the body, but the earth itself. The wisdom of connection, a forgotten pact with nature. Imagine this: every seed, every herb, every stone once carried meaning. Our ancestors didn't just see a forest, they saw a living temple. Each harvest was a sacred ritual. Every meal was a prayer. They knew that to harm nature was to harm themselves. Illness often came when the pact with the earth was broken, when balance was lost. Today, we face diseases of modernity, stress, burnout, pollution-related illnesses. Could these be the symptoms of forgetting our bond with the natural world? Indigenous traditions remind us that healing is not an individual act. When someone is sick, the entire community participates in rituals of care. Healing is relational. Contrast this with modern hospitals, where patients are often isolated, treated like cases rather than souls. What wisdom have we abandoned by forgetting that we are part of a web of life? The wisdom of connection teaches humility. We are not masters of nature, but children of it. The earth gives us medicine, but demands respect in return. As deforestation erases plant species daily, we might be losing potential cures forever. And so, the question becomes urgent. Will we continue to treat nature as a resource to exploit, or as a living partner in our survival? Ancestral wisdom is not gone. It whispers in the rustling of leaves, in the fragrance of burning herbs, in the rituals still practiced in hidden corners of the world. It calls us back, not to reject science, but to remember balance. Modern medicine saves lives every day, but ancestral medicine teaches us how to live. One fights disease, the other nurtures harmony. Together, they form a bridge between past and future. So let us reflect. Could the cure for many of our struggles, physical, emotional, even existential, be found not in more technology, but in remembering what our ancestors already knew? The call is not to romanticize the past, but to learn from it. To listen again to the earth. To recognize that true healing means reconnecting with nature, with community, with the mystery of life itself. Perhaps the greatest medicine has always been with us, the wisdom of remembering who we are.